Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Choosing Beggars. Story 1. Buy Nothing Group. I had a bag of clothes that I was getting rid of, so I put them up in my local Buy Nothing group on Facebook. I had a girl come and pick them up, and within 30 minutes she was messaging me complaining it wasn't enough clothes and they weren't her style. She wanted me to give her money for her gas and more clothes. Story 2. Beggars can't be choosers, literally. The other day I was outside my office block in the city center, on my smoke break, talking with my workmates. It's quite a nice day, so we're all enjoying the weather, no coats or jackets on, and out work passes on lanyards around our necks quite obviously. Now, bearing in mind that this is the city center, there's not too much through traffic, pedestrian or otherwise. There is a large park by our office where a fair amount of homeless people gather to drink ECT, but not much else around. It's pretty obvious where we are standing that we work for the office building. It's also not a public building, you have to have a pass to get past the door, and there's no real need why anyone who doesn't work in this building would be standing outside it, although where we stand is technically public land. A homeless-seeming guy comes over and asks for any spare change. We didn't have any cash and told him that. He then asked if we could spare a smoke. All my friends do the obligatory pat down and excuses of last cigarette ECT. I feel kinda bad for the guy as he was polite upon asking, and there really isn't anything worse than not having a smoke when you're craving one, so offered him mine. I passed the guy the whole pack to take a cigarette from, but kept a keen eye on him as he did look a bit flighty, and I didn't really want him running off with basically a fresh pack of smokes. The guy looked at the package, pulled a disgusted face, and started bitching and moaning about the brand of tobacco to me. "Could you not afford anything better?" he asks. "It's not a cheap brand." My friend and I exchanged a look of, "Is this guy serious?" And I shrugged and told him I like what I like, I guess. He then asked me if I had any other cigarettes he could have instead. I was baffled. I'm not some sort of cigarette vending machine. I laughed and said, "No, sorry, that's all I have. If you don't want, then I'm sure you can ask someone else." He mumbled something I didn't really hear and took 2 cigarettes out the box. Cheeky, but whatever. He lit one of the cigarettes and then jumped up from where he was sitting on the wall and spluttering and screamed, "What the fuck? They're menthol!" and threw the box at me, yelling, "What the fuck? Menthol? Why don't you just get a job?" I pointed to my lanyard and said, "What? I literally work right here." And with it he walked off, still smoking my cigarettes, shouting, "Whatever. Just get a job, you freak, get a job." Leaving me to pick up the box and stare after him in complete shock. Later my friend said he obviously want aware, beggars literally can't be choosers. TLDR. Guy begging for money and cigarettes takes issue with the brand of cigarettes I gave him, and then told me to get a job so I could earn better money to give him better freebies, all whilst standing outside my workplace. Story 3. Homeless man complains of lighter color after I give him a pack of smokes. I pulled up to a slow intersection to a man with a sign begging for money. He approached me and asked for a cigarette. I had more than half a pack left. I had been wanting to quit, so decided in that moment to just give the dude the pack. Ungrateful, he asks for a lighter. I'm a woman, I have a pink lighter. Hand it over. I don't want pink. Do you have another color? What the fuck, dude? That was the last time I gave a handout like that. Story 4. Must be certified to babysit for less than minimum wage. Saw this on a local mom page. I wonder if she found someone. Story 5. FB Marketplace deserves a CB. I feel like people who put posts on FB Marketplace like this deserve a choosing beggar for doing this nonsense. Story 6. I forgot, my bad, about a pickup for a speaker I was giving away for free. CB gets revenge, then expects me to drop off. I gave out a postcode and time to pick up a speaker I was giving away on FB. I regretfully forgot and didn't see the messages, but apologized profusely and said I'd keep it as long as they needed to come pick up again. They organized another time, so I made sure I was in and ready, but they didn't show to get back at me. I messaged them and they called me a liar and demanded I drop it off to them. Far wasn't more than 20 minutes as they live in the same small city as me and the middle was a train station 10 minutes from me. Got called a bitch for my troubles, it was free. Story 7. Offered less than asking to deliver 2 hours away. Story 8. $160 MO for full-time senior and pet care. Story 9. From a local free blessings group. Sure. New inbox? Would you like it delivered too? Story 10. Watch my pets for me but I won't pay. If I can't see them you are not allowed to babysit. Story 11. Tried to haggle down a charity. I currently work at a second-hand charity shop and the amount of customers we get that try to get discounts on our already heavily discounted items is ridiculous. This one happened a couple of days ago. 2 women, I think mother and daughter, approached the counter and the older one asked me if I could discount an $8 dress down to $5. Volunteers aren't allowed to give discounts and $8 is our base price for most dresses. We usually price things at a third of what you'd pay for them brand new. I explained this to the older women and she called our pricing system bullshit. I remained professional as she continued to try and get a discount by saying that she needed the dress for church and that she couldn't afford $8. Never mind that she had another item that she had brought up to the counter with her that she could have opted not to buy if she needed the dress that much. I told her I'm sorry, but that's not our problem. I wasn't rude or aggressive when I said it either, I was genuinely just trying to be polite, but firm. She proceeded to throw her items at me, saying that was rude, and stormed out of the shop. The younger woman followed behind her after telling me that I was going to hell for this. I served the next 2 customers who both asked me if I was okay and said that they were out of line. My bosses on the other hand sent me home early cause the woman complained about me. She told my bosses some sob story, apparently crying, and my bosses said that I should have gotten them cause we're a charity and we can't refuse someone without clothes who was in desperate need of charity. But that sure as hell hadn't been how either them acted. My bosses always tell me not to give out discounts when I tell them that a customer asked for one, so I assumed it would be the same here cause they acted rude and entitled the whole time. I submitted an incident report explaining my side of things and at least one of my bosses seems to understand now, but I have no idea if the other one is still angry with me. Honestly, I'm just a volunteer and I'm considering quitting. I'm literally not paid to deal with this bullshit. Edit. Wow, I was not expecting this to blow up. Thank you guys for all the support. A lot of you have mentioned that saying I'm sorry, that's not my problem was a poor choice of words and comes across as rude. And yet, I'll admit I could have thought that one through a bit more. I genuinely wasn't trying to be rude, but I chose my words poorly. Many of you have also suggested quitting, but I do love working where I work. This incident is the first one to happen. I've had rude and entitled customers abuse me before and my bosses have always been on my side. I genuinely just think that this was a misunderstanding on their part because the entitled customer had gotten to them first. Obviously if things are hostile when I go back, then I'm not going to stay in an abusive environment, but with the exception of this incident, my coworkers are lovely people and I always have a lot of fun and meet a lot of nice people. I don't want to let a few jerks ruin that for me. I've told my boss that I'm going to take the week off after what happened and she seemed understanding. So hopefully things will be better when I go back. Story 12. ChoosingBeggars wants a free Uber ride to pick up a cheap TV. Story 13. My first one. I came across this subreddit a few days ago, and I'm obsessed with these hilarious situations. I left some. Story 14. Antique brass plate I had listed took a look at his profile, didn't take a genius to put the pieces together. Story 15. Pay for my phone so I can beg on YouTube, no free government phone for me, second attempt to post. Story 16. Are homeless shelters becoming more demanding? I do a lot of volunteering with homeless shelters and various grassroots organizations, e.g. Lasagna Love, mostly cooking and delivering hot meals. 98% of the time, it's wonderful. I love doing it. people love eating the food and genuinely appreciate it, and I just find it very fulfilling overall. There is one homeless shelter in my city that recently changed its guidelines and they seem extremely stringent to me. If a volunteer wants to deliver a meal, it has to feed 200 people. Any number below that is not allowed, their words. This was never a rule before and people used to be able to donate however many meals they want. Other examples of their guidelines, if you provide something like tacos or spaghetti, they expect you to provide 0.5 pounds of meat per person, which comes out to 100 pounds of meat. WTF. And that's not including typically expected sides, i.e. salad and bread for spaghetti, rice/beans/toppings for tacos, etc. If you want to donate bagels, you have to provide 2 bagels per person, with cream cheese and jelly on the side, preferably with extras like smoked salmon which are very much appreciated. I feel this creeps toward choosing beggar territory. Is this the new norm? Am I just behind the times? I fully support the idea that a meal should be well-rounded and nutritious, but the shelter seems to be shooting itself in the foot with these mandatory guidelines. Story 17. No good deed goes unpunished, Fridge Edition. I was visiting some friends and helping in the kitchen and realized that their fridge wasn't great. All the shelves were broken so everything was stored in a perilous game of Tetris on top of the crisper at the bottom of the fridge. I asked about it and they said they couldn't afford a new fridge at that point. I offered to go to a local hardware store and buy mesh shelves and see if they would fit but they waved me off and said they had a plan. Not my problem so I let them pack their fridge and did the dishes instead. And this is when I should have erased this problem from my memory but I'm a helpful idiot. A month later a different friend was moving to a different city and trying to get rid of their fridge. I asked if they were selling it and they said no. They were happy to give it away as long as it was picked up. I contacted the first friends and asked if they wanted the fridge. They said yes. Both parties knew of each other so I made sure they had each other's numbers and let them make a plan between them. Following week I hear from both parties. People with the bad fridge are upset that mover won't pay for transport. And because the fridge was too old. Never mind that it had all its shelves and worked just fine. Mover is upset because they were counting on bad fridge people picking up the fridge and is upset with me because the deal fell through. Never mind that I was not involved in the negotiations on when and how collection would be done. And everyone is angry with me because I didn't sort out transport between the two. How exactly is this my issue? And that's the last time I try to play matchmaker. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.